Good evening. My name is Justin. You've joined me on this program called Searls After Dark. They nominated me to be host because my last name happened to be the same name as the title of the program, and they thought that would be appropriate. So tonight we are gonna look at a couple things in our chat application. So if you didn't catch last episode, all we did was we converted from the GPT-3 based prompt completion API, which was hitting OpenAI's public API there, to make our chat app actually use the new chat API, and this time we rigged it against GPT-4. We saw a bunch of different stuff. We saw there's different message types for whether you're talking as the system or as a user, or we're getting a response back as the assistant, which is its role. We also saw it's way slower, which means that any UI is going to have to be made responsive. To not block user input necessarily, but just like any other messaging app, we're going to have to wait for responses to come back, which is actually a perfect fit for its streaming API and probably us plugging in action cable and turbo streams at some point, which I think will be cool. But one idea that I had that I think would be fun to play with today first is the idea of slash commands, just like you have like slash invite in Slack or other sort of like slash Zoom or whatever, and it'll open up a little other UI. Here, this would be a great way to, without adding a whole lot of user interface Chrome around the chat window, do things like, say, slash translate or slash grammar and have commands that are able to ask the assistant to respond in different ways than simple replies in Japanese. All right, so only point of order today in the news hour. News. I'm here not to shill my content, but just I'm excited to share stuff with people when it might be useful. I wrote a blog post that went up this morning called Never Staff to the Peak. And while it's targeted at engineering leadership, it may help anyone in our industry to kind of make sense of like why layoffs are impacting different companies disproportionately. And it gives some advice for how to ideally staff an engineering organization. I say this even though my title at one point was VP of Engineering. I've never run a large engineering organization. But there's a lot of things that are pretty obviously wrong with what we saw over the last 6 or 7 years. And this is an approach that we've seen be very successful with our clients at Test Double. Not that they're just taking our advice, but we're just a Midwestern-based firm that's on like the blue-collar values of return on investment. And so from a values perspective, the current moment that the industry is experiencing feels like it's custom made to the sorts of experiences and values that we were brought up, we being my partner Todd and I, in the industry. So check that blog post out if you're curious to understand some of our thoughts about all the layoffs, as well as how and when and why to bring in contractors into your organization to kind of balance out your staffing levels. All right, enough hullabaloo. Let's get down to it. Open up VS Code here. I've already got JPN open. This is the most prep I've ever done by having this code window open, I think. We're going to start by running bin dev. Start our server up, hit up localhost. I'm gonna make some space. Cool. So we're in our chat. See that the chat still works. That our API key has not been stolen or turned off. Hello. Okay. So we can see the message behind us. Okay. No, there's no automatic scroll down either. There's so many UI things that I would fix if I wanted to spend the time on it. Do you have any questions? All right. I need to prompt the question answer assistantiness out of this, right? There's got to be a way to prompt it to ask it like, just have a conversation. Just be cool, man. Just be cool. Speaking of just being cool, today's cocktail is, while we're in Japanese mode on this program most of the time, is one of my favorite types of chuhai. Chuhai is a portmanteau of the word shochu, which is a kind of Japanese liquor, usually made from potato or rice or wheat. So shochu liquor, usually in a can, at least if you find it in a convenience store, and mixed with some kind of fruit and soda water and chemicals. So that's how you know it's good. And because it's a soda water plus a alcohol, they took the word highball, like a whiskey highball, which is whiskey and soda water, and they just combined shochu and highball into shochu. So I'm a big shochu fan, and when I went back to Japan in December, I picked up a bottle of this Kodawari Remon Sawa. Kodawari is one of the most popular brands of canned Chuhai in the country. And of course, bringing cans back to the US and carbonated stuff in a pressurized air cabin is not very bright. And so I was just delighted when I walked through a grocery store and they're like, hey, this is the make at home version. In fact, it even comes with a cool little cup. See, look at that, a little steel cup. You can throw in the freezer for a minute, get real cold. It's got a cool little ribbed pattern on the inside. Look at that. Look at that. This is quality YouTubing right now. And the recipe is very, very simple. It's put some ice in it, and then 1 part of that concentrated shochu mix, and 3 parts soda water. So this is my first time. I've been saving this for several months just for you. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yep, that tastes pretty much like it. I want to go back. So I am going back. I'm going back May next month for Ruby Kaigi. If you want to join me, Ruby Kaigi is in Matsumoto, Japan this year, which is wonderful. Matsumoto is part of Nagano. You might remember Nagano from the Olympics in the 90s. And it is a really fun conference. It's super laid back. It's super approachable. Japan's super safe. And even though you're traveling outside Tokyo and kind of off the beaten path a little bit, if you're looking for an adventure, mid-May, book a flight. It's cheap. Everything in Japan's cheap right now. I'll be there. A lot of our Ruby friends will be there. Okay, let's get rolling. So let's go over and take a look at our asks for reply thing. So this is the unit of code that we call from our, is it the message controller? Yep. So we call this from the message controller. That's the controller that gets invoked when we submit a new chat message. And it is the recipient of whatever is in param's message text. Now, asks for reply is an object that literally does what it says on the tin. It asks OpenAI for a reply message. I could, and I think a lot of programmers' default wiring is to just kind of tack on this other responsibility of like detects / commands. Let's just play this out. Oops. I would love to have a little shortcut for converting stuff to a Pascal case from Snake case in VS Code. I'd have something like that, and then I'd be like, okay, no, there we go. See, execute / commands. But then I'm like now it doesn't do what it says anymore, and then I'm like, oh well, now I'm like everything ends up becoming like a reply manager, and so one of the reasons why I name classes with a verb in the front is so the headline is this is the thing it does. It asks for a reply. If I start doing other responsibilities, it stands out really clearly that its responsibility is now like 2 things or violated, and then it forces a rename. And if the rename of the behaviors that it has becomes more generic over time, it probably means it's going to be a target for a net complexity increase. So the thing that I look for, and this is an object-oriented design faux pas, I'm sure, in a lot of circles. The thing that I look for is I want over the lifespan of an object for the behavior to get more specific and more specialized. What kind of reply? Like if there's a different kind of way to ask, I would want that broken out and split up. So more specific in the behavior, not fanning out into all these other jobs, but more general in like the inputs it accepts and maybe what it returns. So like the kind of info that flows through this thing right now, it will probably always be a chat, but I could imagine it could be anything that like might have a message attached to it. And maybe that'll become more general or more polymorphic, like another version of this method that can take some other argument. And what I found is that is a terrific recipe for keeping objects small, focused, and preventing them from bloating a lot over time. So, typically I just start with one public method, I'm happy, I'm content to have classes with just one method in them. I trust other developers will come and add more later. And in truth, sometimes I'll have maybe two, at most two, out the gate public methods on a class, if it's like a normal feature behavior thing. But sorry, I just had a mini panic attack. Sorry, not to exaggerate this. I had a mini did I start recording? I did. I don't like that the menu doesn't keep incrementing. Sorry, I lost my train of thought with that. What if I'm not recording? That's a thing that happens. You don't see those videos because I wasn't recording. But you see this one. We're going to keep it. We're not going to edit that out. This is the real life me. So anyway, yeah, I usually don't start with a lot of methods. Eventually, I may add a second or a third method for different argument types, but I'm really persnickety about not broadening the responsibility of classes unless it makes complete sense as part of the process. And executing slash commands just doesn't here. So what's an alternative? What's something else that we can do in this case? We could say, we could do I think I've heard this referred to as, and I might be misremembering, but back in my Java days, I would call it a push down refactor. I could have a new object type here. I'll comment this out for now. Now, of course, now we get into the generic naming because I don't want the reply manager necessarily, but a message handler or so handles messages a little bit generic. The verb handle. Whenever I get to super generic verbs, I pause and try to think of a better one. It's a good prompt for that. I'm not seeking information. I am looking to... I suppose... I am going to create action on a messages controller. I could say that this is the thing that creates a message, but that's a little bit specific as well. And we talked about last week about user messages versus system messages versus assistant messages. So there's different roles, and this is very specifically handling a user message. So let's call it, yeah, we'll pass it the same args for now. Okay, so I'm gonna pop over. Wish I could make this font just a little bit bigger for the video, so you can all read it a little bit better. All right, so we're gonna go. I'm not used to using UI tree things, but I am trying to make this a little bit more legible. Applib is where all of our feature work goes. Chats. Okay, so handles, user, message. Now anything this thing does should delegate. Module chat, and because chat is the constant of the model. Class handles user message. Thank you. No extension, just poros. Okay, def initialize and boy, I'm out of practice. I've been not coding much today. Today was a meetings day. I will accept your sympathy in the comments, and you can make my day. If only you like and subscribe this video. Please. Please validate my existence. All right. Asks for reply. End. All right. So that's a very inefficient and error-prone way to do what I just did. I'm sure there's a better way. I would love for more refactoring tools to emerge, or for you to let me know about them. If you know one, throw it in the comments. Email us at lets@playstupid.games. Okay, so that should just have pushed it down. So again, refactors, they don't change the external observable behavior of a system. They just change its internal factoring to make some other thing that you want to do easy. To quote Kent Beck, make the change easy. Note, this may be hard. Then make the easy change. This is the best way to communicate. Nope. I had to use a time limit on Twitter before I quit in November. Yeah, so here we go. For each desired change, make the change easy. Warning, this may be hard. Then make the easy change. Yeah, classic. So that's kind of the spirit of refactoring. When I'm refactoring, I'm doing some pre-work to make it easy to do some future work. So that makes that easier, but only if this still... Hi. Nope, I screwed up. Params. Oh, yeah. So I just pulled that out. And that should be adders now. Even Copilot was on top of that. Scroll down. All right, so new message. Again, it wants to be helpful. It's asking how it can help. All right. The next responsibility here, or maybe the first responsibility really, is to tell whether or not it's a slash command. Now, one nice thing about arranging all of your classes to start with a verb is that it doesn't lend itself very well to Boolean outcomes. So if I'd said determines slash command, that's kind of awkward, and then it would return true or false. What I really want to know is, rather than a Boolean, like what kind of message type it is. So, all right. And I don't need this module prefix because I'm inside the chats module now. Okay, so determines message type. Now, I could also go through the mocktail thing and build out a test, but we already did that example, and I'm too lazy. And if you're a slash command, something should handle that. So, yep, something like this. Yep, sounds about right. When. Yeah, a symbol is probably good enough here. So we'll just return a symbol instead of yet another bespoke struct. And I could do an else, but like doing an else in a case statement like this. Oh yeah, standard Ruby. This is the one rule in standard I still haven't gotten through my head, is that the wins are not indented. It's more like an if else. Anywho, so if I had just done else here and just been a catch-all, it would have been safer from the perspective of now, even if this thing screws up, if it returns nil, the user still gets a reply, so it feels safer. But really, what you're doing by just having that else condition is you're letting a bug live longer if that ever were to happen, because it would be a programmer error if you didn't get one of two expected results, right? And if it was a programmer error and it's only working because you were guarding against yourself, then that means more time will elapse until that bug is detected. And the thing is about time is, I don't know if you realize this, but the more time goes on, the less you remember something. And that makes it harder to fix the bug. But if we make it strict up front, this is all internal APIs, then we'll catch the nil bug right away. We'll fix it in the process of building the thing. It won't ever be a problem. Confident Ruby by Avdi Grimm is a good book. So you could sort of like plan for success, as opposed to put a whole lot of guard clauses in place. Boy, this is nostalgic. Natsukashi. This is good stuff. I love the little free steel cup. It's classy. And it's also a Japanese serving size of just like, literally, I think, 4 shot glasses of water and shochu. Okay. So again, executes slash command. Seems like the right thing to call that. Yep. See if it finishes this for me. Finish my sandwiches. Nope. Okay. So now I got to build a new thing. Yet another new thing. 2 new things. What the hell? It's a good thing I'm hourly. Determines message type dot RB. So class chat. module chats class determines message type and end def determine. And this is, we're just the adders right here. But you know what? Let's narrow the scope of what we pass. This is actually a better idea. Ha! Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? So it already knows what we're doing because it can think of multiple windows at once. And I like the idea. Oh, wow. It actually, I accepted its autocomplete and it is doing what it said. Yeah, so I was going to pass the entire hash because maybe other things on the hash could matter, but like, why? Because there's actually no other, you know, it's not like when you're using iMessage or your SMS app, like there's a whole lot of fields each time you hit enter, right? So like we're pretty confident like it's just going to be text. So like let's just do that and look at that. So yeah, if, the method on string start with looks at if the first character is a slash, return the simple slash command, otherwise return the simple text. And that's just enough for us to branch here while still leaving the door open to new commands. All right, so that feels fine. I know my style is weird, but it's not called Grim After Dark, Patterson After Dark. This is Searls After Dark, so I get to do whatever I want within reason, according to Testable's marketing director. Hi, Kathy. She did the perfect threat after the first episode as she watched it and then referenced several specific things about the first episode of this program over the course of a week. And that convinced me she did really watch it. And when she said she was going to watch all of them, I believe her. So I'm putting this in here now as a Kathy canary. So Kathy, let me know if you see this, and if you don't, then I know the gloves are really off and I can say whatever I want. I'm sorry. Okay, next step, executes /command.rb. Here we go. Again, module chat. There's something I think mildly therapeutic. If I wasn't talking at you, I would, this typing, yes, it's extra typing that I don't really need to do. I could automate it away, but it gives my brain like a chance to catch my breath. Okay, so chat adders. Yeah, this is actually pretty darn close actually to what I probably do. I've noticed that over time, Copilot starts to pick up on my coding style. So these bespoke result. That's the word of the day. Bespoke. It's a word I didn't even know 5 years ago. But then, pretty awesomely, I went to Scotland and then I saw the word bespoke 18 times. So I think it's a Britishism. Anyway, result. All right, and it's doing data.define, which did I get rid of all of my data defines? That's a question that's worth asking. No, sure kept them. I forgot that I kept them. I thought I switched them back to structs because they were annoying me. Again, this is a case of basic pattern recognition. I check this thing once a week, so I forget stuff. It doesn't. All right. Rather than results.result, I think I'm going to just call this mode. And of course, this is not real now. This is mode. And oh yeah, none of this is real, right? This is all made up. See, this is like assisted driving, the lane assist spicy autocomplete problem. Somebody wrote me a very nice comment saying like that the Copilot stuff is just distracting me. Ever since starting this show, AI has become so dominant that if anything, my reaction is like, I'm just going to lean in and see what an experienced developer's brain happens when you pickle it in AI juice. So if I end up being worse at programming, there will be evidence, and we'll be able to say, well, I guess wait till GPT-5. Hold off on adopting this enterprise-wide. All right. So when the command is translate, great. Oh, and in fact, this is the thing executing the command, so I don't need to return a result at all. Again, this is me getting really thrown off base, right? Translate, grammar, and help. Now I'm thinking about I could imagine different what is the API of this thing? Now, if we'd been using Mocktail and isolation testing to do this, I would have considered before getting to this point, before getting hoodwinked by the dastardly copilot, I would have thought, what is this thing's like API, right? Execute / command doesn't really return anything. It's like a fire and forget. In fact, this doesn't seem to return anything either. Or does it? It returns a structured kind of reply object. I now remember. It returns a result. Result, error message, success. Oh, and it's on chat, so I don't need to redefine it. That's nice. Although it's now living in a weird place. So I'm going to pull this up. And since it's now shared by multiple things, or I presume will be. Okay. Of course, wrapping it in the module chats. I get a nickel every time I repeat that. So it returns a result. And even those are instantiated by deeper things. Yep. So response, success, and error message. And the result here is literally the text. Good to know. So in this case, for execute / command, let's start with an easy one, where the result in this case will be help. Help. And probably have to put that there. To do. If you've never seen it before, I have a GitHub repo called To Do or Die. Look at me. I used Raycast correctly. It's a cool tool. Check out Raycast. Yeah, it's like Spotlight. So I have a thing called To Do or Die. You can check it out. It lets you put your to-dos in code to blow up on particular dates or when certain conditions are met. But of course, in this case, we're going to get through this today. He said too confidently. Yeah, 20. Yeah, I think we'll be all right. Pretend I am useful. Okay. We're not going to persist this necessarily because somebody's just asking for help. Response, success. In this case, it is not a real. That response was the OpenAI response I copy pasted. And error message, nil. Data.define recall requires us to actually specify all the options. Okay, so let's, again, because the bottom of the screen is tough to see here for y'all in YouTube's land. All right, help. That seems to not have done things. Okay, so we're going to take a look at our console. I need to wire up something that doesn't go to the bottom of the screen for now. Yeah. So it is returning this result, I am sure, but it's not persisting it. And what is happening is, and this is part of how messages or HTTP messages and requests flow through Rails. So like we're posting to messages create, and then we're getting a result, and then we are responding to that result here from whatever handles user message gives us by redirecting, meaning HTTP is stateless. There's no state changing hands except for whatever parameters we tack on and whatever we put into this flash, which is a sort of like a one-time session variable. That means when we go to the chat path or chat controller, it's going to find the chat, showing the chat. And what does it do when it shows the chat? It goes into views, chats, shows, and then of course it's going to go through each of the messages and only the persisted ones. So if we want this to do anything without pretty significantly changing how this thing flows, we need to persist the message. How many times do I want to persist that somebody wrote /help? Not this many, right? So this is a design issue now. Fortunately, if we're already paying 2 cents per conversation and query calls, we can probably afford repeating the word help over and over again, and Postgres is probably really good at compressing the same clob of text over and over. I don't like it. I'm naturally opposed to it, but I don't want to get derailed yet again on this. So let's look at asks for a reply and see if we can reuse saves message. We can. We can. So let's just go and try it out. Okay, saves message. Not transmits, saves. I'm all over the place today. Unlike all those other days where I'm not all over the place. You know. You've seen that. You haven't, because I'm always a mess when I'm recording and trying to talk simultaneously. All right. So something like this. Boy. Of course, here I'm not merging anything. I'm just saving adders. And it's not the user of... Nope, stop it. Knock it off. I will say... So confident, and then I was like, is it text or content? How many times do I have to ask this? So I gotta go over to the controller. Text. Goodness gracious. I'm sorry. If you're playing around at home, you're probably getting seasick or motion sickness. Yep. So I suppose I don't need to... Well, okay, so positive side is instead of doing more work, I'm no longer constructing this message myself. Or this result myself. I'm just saving the message, and the one that it returns will presumably be good enough. Let's see if that works. We support 2 commands here at ChatJPN Industries. Translate the previous message into English, right? And grammar. Improve the grammar of the AIs. I didn't realize that the role was going to be so important here. Right? Because I might want to translate my most recent message. In fact, that's most often what I want to do, is to make sure, am I conveying the thing that I want to convey? And now I'm thinking, like, what if I want to take as an argument? Yeah, I want to take as an argument this as well. So yeah. You see what I'm doing here? So if they provide a message as if it's an argument, then just translate that. And if they provide a message to grammar, just update the grammar for that. Otherwise, do the last of my own messages. This is this work, right? Changing context, speaking out loud, using a rubber duck, writing it out, invoking it. README driven development was a meme in the early GitHub days. It helps you think through the problem in different contexts. I guess I'll call this system, even though I'm not sending it to the AI. You know what, though? The system messages are getting sent to the AI, aren't they? Because if we look at ask for reply here, transmit message is sending the whole chat history. Yeah. So this is something to think about. It's going to be sending this too, as if it's a system message. Should it be an internal user? We can test it out and see what happens, I suppose. Really want to ignore it though. But then if we ignore it, the thing is, then we're going to have responses from ChatGPT that don't necessarily make sense. Okay, I'm just going to do it because I can tell it's going to make the conversations weird if it somehow can disrupt the conversation. I wouldn't want that. Find me the messages where the role is in one of three: user, assistant, system. Only send those up to the cloud, so they won't taint the results. Otherwise, we get internal. And the result that we ultimately get from, say, grammar or something, that will be either also internal or something similar. If I'm speaking too slowly, like I hope you're thinking through this with me. I realize this is a little bit heavy. Okay. I always get way less done in 50 minutes than I expect. I'm going to set a 15-minute timer, and we'll just call time when we get to it. Let's see if we at least get just saying /help. We sure don't. Internal's not available. Fuck me. All right. Hope you like migrations, everyone, because we're going to make a new one. Bin Rails G migration, add additional internal roles to the message type enum. Look at me. It's like I'm punishing myself with really long names. All right. Now there's already the role enum. I forgot how to add a value. Add value to enum Postgres Rails migration. Ugh. I'm suddenly regretting this. Basically, you'd have to go and change the type of the column, move everything over. Yeah, this is a lot of work. Maybe Postgres 14 has a way to like drop enum value finally. You can rename, but you can't delete. You know what? This is a new app. Nothing matters. Why would I invest time in? If I was like really doing this for real, I would know there's no production environment yet. So screw it. Let's make a Heredoc. Call this. Check out what our schema role is. Yeah, so it's called role with system user and assistant. Alter type role, add value, internal system. Wait, hold on. What if I change the role to just be internal, like a flag, right? So you could have an internal system message, an internal user message, an internal system user and assistant message. And those are just don't tell the AI about this in history. Okay, so if we don't want to tell a message in history to the AI, we don't need to keep making roles. That makes no sense. Instead, what we would do is we would say change table messages, do T, just like create table. And what we would say is we'd make a new Boolean. We'd say hide from AI. Hide from our robot overlords. Default false. Okay. I like it. And now this is, of course, a terrible misnomer. It's a bad name now. So add again, add hide from AI flag to messages. Okay. Bin rake db migrate. Okay. This makes more sense. It makes more sense and it's also easier to maintain. So it's a win-win. Can't hurt. All right. So I'm going to say that indeed this is a system message that will hide from AI. True. And then our transmit message thing, instead of selecting for the role, which seemed a little bit ham-fisted anyway, we'll say hide from AI false. All right. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so let's see what this does. Will it blend? Help. Okay, so this worked, but it didn't respect new lines, and that's because nothing so far has been a multi-line statement. So let's see if okay, that was quick. So whitespace pretty much fixes this. I think that's probably what we should do. So Tailwind CSS probably has a way to do pre. Whitespace pre. There you go. Whoa, what's pre-line? Is that a new one? Is that some cool thing I don't even know? Ooh, new lines but not spaces. Yeah. Yeah, that's even better because I don't want a bunch of space padding necessarily. This is HTML, damn it. All right, so we will go into that's the form part. Yep. Just shove it in there. Interestingly, Headwind did not resort it, so I'm going to stick it more towards the end. Oh, it did put it for the front. Okay, apparently I just happened to pick that it's supposed to go right after margin in conventional Tailwind class ordering. All right, refresh. Okay, cool. And there's an extra new line at the bottom, which I can get rid of for future requests to help with .chomp. So if you're new to Ruby Heredocs, you might not have seen people putting crap after the Heredoc token right here. When it says Heredoc, it's not Verdoc, it's Heredoc. So like everything that comes after this line terminator, all the way down here, this is literally magically transported into right there. And so if you want to chain stuff off of this string, the place to do it is actually not as you might intuit down here. It's way back up here, and that includes any commas or anything else. And that way, if it's the first argument of 4 in one method, you would add those other like A, B, C, D up here. So that's a little bit of Heredoc. That's thank you for joining me for Heredoc Hour. It was fun. Also, I used Fever Tree Club Soda, which is just water with bubbles in it, and it's too expensive. It is pretty good though. All right. I'll just kill that actually. I might not even need the call to chomp actually. I don't. Never mind. I assumed I need chomp. Chomp just gets rid of the last new line. Okay. So let's try to pick one of these off. It's pretty clear to me that we're going to have to do something like translates. Translates text. Yeah. And in this case, again, the adder's text. Remember, if we're adding a param, we need to either match on a regex, which I believe case win can do. But of course, here. Let's see if that worked. I want to see the right error. Oh, well, I saw a correct error, which is that new file translates text.rb, module chat, class translates text end, def translate chat text end. Okay. Try that one more time, but this time with more feeling. Translate goof. Good. Okay, so we got where we wanted to go. And we can say, I always wondered, no, okay. The dollar signs that get assigned when you do a regex do not get triggered. Oh, I didn't have a capture group. But what if I did? This is like, I feel like this is something I knew about Ruby like 15 years ago and forgot about until just this moment. Hi. Dot star match hi foo. Yeah. So $1 will pick the thing from the capture group. YOLO. YOLO. We're gonna do this. Not if I haven't used this in so long, it's probably a bad idea to use it now. But whatever. And if there was no match, if I just said this, nil, perfect. So I can just do an OR break, and I can pull, yep. So I want to get the last message from the AI. Actually, this OR break is like, yeah, this is really crowded and complicated, but it actually saves us like at least one query, which is kind of cool. So by default, it translates the other guy's, the other guy's messages, where role is assistant. Do I have a default? I don't have a default scope set up, do I? On chat? I don't. So chat messages is not scoped by default to be ordered a certain way. Where is that still sitting here? Chat.messages. Do I not have order specified anywhere? Tailwind aside. Border. Not the 404, no. I don't. I feel less badly about having a default scope on, see, order created at ascending. It's kind of, so the UI goes down, but what we mean is ascending because we're loading from the top to the bottom. So created at ascending is what we'll say. So that'll give me the order I want. And then last, and then .text. Okay. So let's go over to translates text, and we will, in this case, let's take a look at transmits message and see how that works, right? In this case, we're going to post to the AI with the model and the message and the max tokens, and we're going to say, pretty much something very similar to this, enough that I actually don't feel too bad about copy pasting this as a starting point. We're running very low on time, everyone. Forgive me. All right. So get rid of that prompt. The system now is going to say ego ni into English. Honyaku shite kudasai. Yeah, and then the text. Except not in Japanese mode, so that this is actually will interpolate. All right. Yep. Seems fine. It's as if we're starting a new message, so it lacks the context of the rest of the of the rest of the conversation. And context is really important in Japanese, so I already don't like this as a solution. So instead what I'm going to say is, let's grab all the messages up to this point. Big money. And then kaiwa no bunmyaku context de wa kono bun, nope, other bun o eigo ni, god damn it. I'm not very used to typing Japanese into an editor. So in the context of this conversation, translate this sentence into English. So we'll see what that does. And if we can get this far, I'll be pretty freaking happy. I'm skeptical. Translate. Ima nanji. Oh, right. I didn't save that last message. I got a message back for sure. Whoops. But the translates text thing, or the transmits response thing that I built, transmits message, it gets a response back, and then, now I really, if I have more time, if I have had more time, I would have. Damn it. All right. And that's a reply result. Is it just response? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I'm gonna write a lot of code here just to try to wrap us up. The pressure of like making this somewhat work and somewhat useful is can be a lot. So this is also going to depend on saves message. I'm now in like not quite frantic, but definitely like, hey, we're against like a clock here. These people are paying good money for this YouTube. Don't let them down, Searls. That's why they gave you this show. Yeah, that looks right. The other thing I'm not doing is I'm not saving the system message, which I want to do. So here I've got system message. This is going to be a great opportunity to fix later into something better. We're going to call that system message adders, I suppose. Now I really want to change this from content to text, because we're going to do saves message here as soon as I request it. I'm going to be confident this is not going to fail. Goodness gracious. I'm also going to actually remove that, because this is the only thing I really care about, system message. Yep. Okay. So saves message again, saves message, save chat, and then we're going to have text is system, message, role is system, and I think hide from AI true. We're not going to send this to future stuff, and we're not going to send this to future stuff either. Yeah, all right. So all this happens in some sort of side pot that's not part of the conversation is the idea. What? Look at that. All right. So now it's printing this as if it's in a system message. We can format that differently, but it successfully did translate imananji to what time is it now. So that's great, and this is apparently all happening without getting sent up. Well, we could verify that. So this is messy. This is too much. It's a lot all at once. We can decompose this, but pretty cool. Pretty fun. I love that I was able to end on a working code note. So anyway, thanks for your time. I hope you have a wonderful week wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Remember, we've got RailsConf in Atlanta in a couple weeks, so if you're joining, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment, subscribe, mash that bell, or just meet me in human form, where not a lot of people know this, but I'm actually only 3.5 feet tall. So you'll get to find out first. Let's see. Also, or if you miss, RailsConf, no big deal. Just fly to Japan next month, and I'll be in Matsumoto in May 13th. Anyway, I hope you're having fun with this. I'm having fun with this. I think it's a great way to learn. I think we probably have some refactoring cut out for us next week, and I have it in mind that I'm going to spend a day off pretty soon, just working on this, and not live streaming per se, but just recording hours of work on this because I want this to get further along. All right, that's all I got, folks. I'll catch you later.